Once upon a time, when I was in Crete, the holy Carpus entertained me, he being a man, if there is one, who was suited through the purity of his mind to perceive divine visions. Now he never undertook the celebration of holy sacraments of the mysteries without first having a vision in his prayers before the sacrament. A good omen. Nice guy to have around, right? Before he prays, he has a vision. His distress consisted in the fact that this man had made someone wander away from the church into atheism while the joyous days of his baptism were still being celebrated, and that he should have prayed especially for both, and taking God as his helper, he should have turned the one back and won over the other with goodness. That he should not have left off with a warning to them, and thus he should have led them to divine knowledge, so that the matters disputed by them would be decided, and they who were irrationally making bold would be compelled to come to their senses by the judgment informed by law. Behind that, see? He has a very nice case. He takes one case and he builds a whole argument for it, because he's now going to introduce why you need reason and why men who are religious should enter reason and bring it about. Let me give you one that I'd like to get the reason I'm having trouble is that the work I was doing I did on another translation. I guess I left that at home, so I'll use this one. Here he's talking about how to understand symbols. And by talking about how to understand symbols, he introduces them to a way of understanding everything analogically. You see, because this whole thing is analogical, because all proportions are just another word for analogy. So he's going to have to show them now how to take any religious symbol and understand it analogically, that is, to bring it to reason. He's going through the fact that they're image of God asleep. But I realize that you will ask for an explanation as well of God's silent sleep and awakening. And when I say that divine sleep is God's transcendence and is having nothing in common with the objects of his providence, but that awaking is the extension of his providential paideia, or salvation, to those who need it, you will then raise more questions about other theological symbols. And he goes on to say, okay, treat them in a similar analogical way. So if you're hearing about God being asleep, what does that mean? He's transcendent. If he wakes up, what does that mean? That means then he's coming to the salvation of those who need it. So for every personification of God in any mythical language, he shows people how to understand it without the use of those images. You can keep the images, understand it analogically. That escapes literalism. Now I'd like to add one more idea to what we've been doing. It's pretty important. as we do this and see how all of these ideas interrelate, if you're willing to make one step clear, then I can conclude for you. All right. Would you not agree that the things that are beautiful and are attracted to you, whatever it is that's beautiful, you're attracted to it so long as you consider it good? The same thing, if it's no matter how beautiful it is, if you were to discover or even suspect that there's something about it that may bring along with it death and disease, even though it may appear beautiful, what are we going to do? We'll walk away from it and be indifferent to it. Therefore, there's naturally a perception connected with beauty that we hope, trust, that there next to it is in some way connected with something good. To the degree then that Eros is attracted to and pursues beauty, because it believes that the beautiful is good, then man is always pursuing what is good. That's providence. A providential view of the universe must follow if man is always pursuing what he considers to be good. That's also in our good friend Pseudo-Dionysius in 10 letters. So, enough. How about some questions for me? We can play on another level for a while. Okay, since you're not asking, I have a list here that I made. Pseudo-Dionysius, dated at this time approximately 530, one of the great thinkers was Proclus. And one of his great works are called The Elements of Theology. Each one fits in with others. The whole thing is a magnificent structure of 211 propositions. It's like a geometry book, only it's all theoretical ideas. Magnificent piece of work. When you read Pseudo-Dionysius, you'll discover that he must have known Proclus. Proclus was 470 AD. And I have noted several great propositions that Pseudo-Dionysius uses throughout the 10 letters. And so I'll just write down the numbers: 21, 23, 27, 28, 62. It's not all, but these are the central ones. 65, 100, 103, thank goodness, 148, central, all right, 151. So if you like Proclus, you won't have any trouble going into Proclus's Elements of Theology and seeing this magnificent structure. And these are the central propositions that Pseudo-Dionysius has recourse to when he builds his letters. And very tight thinking, very tight, very structured. So, that's what I wanted to conclude before I forgot it. So,
this is the older Eros, I presume, not the newer Eros. This is the older Eros. Going to Greek mythology, there's the original Eros, who is like the third element or god created. And then there's the other younger Eros, who is the son of Aphrodite. And I'm saying
there is a way of taking each of the Greek